Katata Tiago Kakali Gabadon 4-star safety rating. Nya Taka Tiago, Bachangan Galikawan Jongpi, Nya Taka Tiago, Nakabanta Jinshangan Kalonging Jongpi, One Chaka Frank Motors Halat Korban Test Drive Menta.
The all-new Tiago. It's seriously fun.
Nongkit ktin Syiem barem jong ke India ba rudi warjuri lo ong ba kanu kaan ka bachna ka de banlong nakamta ka pha ka myap man chupen madan lot ya Baroh namar bakan wanra ya kejingma uba rudi lakren ya kene halo kejing tmu jong ka sarkar India ban pentrai kam ya ka uniform civil code ne ka UCC ha Baroh ka ri ka ba la pan wanra pan ban ya ka kendrum kendram ha kari habakran ha ka jinga kop ya telko jong UDP ha Shillong blalong ha ka khan artring tau bna uba rudi lo ong bakat kum ka article south la ka do ya ka UCC henry ka dei tang jing pasyang ha ka jing smo go jong u lo ong bakam long ka babha banchu Pyntian Jubor ya ka UCC nagam da kanu jing tmu namar ba ka India ka dei ka ri ka babon tam gi jait benri basyong ha ka banya kiwei pat ki ri jong ka perthai.
The more democratization takes place in society, the more recognition is there for these, call them indigenous rights. So that is something which is very important. Now, but then you have a situation like in Brazil recently, where the indigenous Indians in the Amazon especially, because you have this government in Brazil in the center who want to sell this land to big multinationals for doing a lot of exploring or exploiting the minerals or whatever is there, and it's becoming something which is for them to stand up and protest that please do not interfere with this, and they've got support all over the world in fact, because they are the people who are concerned with climate change also, because when you do so much of deforestation it affects the climate change in a big way. So you have these situations now in these countries. So-called indigenous word is being used increasingly. I see, in fact, the Chief Minister in Assam, he does it very openly, and in fact, at the central level, where they say that the rights of the indigenous will not be affected, especially when this whole controversy about the UCC is coming in. So these are some of the nuances which is happening. Now, coming to the UCC. Now here is where I'll give you my opinions and my comments. Now to me, why has this situation become so controversial? Because there's so much, the atmosphere has been so vitiated. I think in some respect it's becoming very hostile by one community against the other. I think I am glad, in fact, if you use the word uniform, that means you really have to say that uniformly everybody is the same and we will use this one law and that's about it. Whether it works or doesn't work, that's a different matter. Now, increasingly I think everybody was mentioning about Article 44, about UCC mentioned in Article 44, which is correct, but this is to endeavor, it's aspirational. But don't forget that in the same article, there are even more pressing things which the government or the system has to take care of. Now, for instance, the right to adequate livelihood. Let's not forget that India, 800 billion of the population survive on welfare. 800 billion survive on subsidized supply of rice by the government, or atta or wheat, whatever it is. So it doesn't reflect very well. That means a large majority of the population are still at that level, which the point I'm trying to make is that there are more pressing concerns about addressing rather than just UCC per se. So this is something which we have to debate about. Please do not push the UCC for a particular purpose, a particular agenda. It doesn't work. India is a very, very diverse country and a very complex country. In fact, to me, having worked abroad in many countries, in many continents, there is no diverse country in the world, including China, in fact. It's the most diverse in terms of languages, dialects. I mean, you can well imagine there are 23 official languages in the Constitution of India. 23 recognized. I hope Khasi will be one of them also very shortly. So this is where the situation is, and so you have to do with civil laws in India. You have to approach very, very carefully. Otherwise, it can create a lot of problems, because India has other problems to attend which are more pressing. Now, the other thing about, I'm glad somebody, but at the same time, somebody mentioned the Shavanu case. I think a thing like that makes sense. So you have, where you need to do is basically specific legislation for specific situations. Now, for instance, somebody mentioned about Khasi system, that only the females in the family have to get the inheritance. I think this is something which is being debated here, and I hope a change takes place. It makes sense. It cannot remain the same. So this is something which specific legislations is required for specific situations. It can be to Muslim community, it can be to Christian community, it can be to Hindu community itself. So let's not use this word uniform for the sake of being uniform. It doesn't work. And the other things, I think, is, suppose now, hypothetically, the centre goes ahead and passes a bill in parliament. At the state level, at the district level, at the grassroots level, can you implement it? I don't think it can be done. The only thing, now I'll give you the example of China. China voted for this rights of indigenous population in the UN. But they are the people, when they want to impose a law on the population, it's the same law for everybody. They don't care whether you're indigenous or not indigenous. Now you can do something like that in a country like China, because it's a totalitarian, authoritarian country. You cannot do that in India. So these are the challenges which we have to accept. Otherwise, we are playing with fire.